Hey, good
Okay.
evening, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Navigating Your 401k After a Layoff, proudly hosted and sponsored by HRKyle Services. My name is Becky Smith, and I'm here representing HRKyle. We've partnered with Joe Rinella, co-founder of Rinella Legacy Group, to provide you with valuable insights on managing both your career and finances during this transitional time. Today's session is interactive. I'll be sharing key resources and links in the chat throughout. Both HRKyle and Rinella Legacy Group are here to support you, not only during today's webinar, but also afterward. Whether you need help with your career or financial planning after a layoff, we are partnering to deliver maximum value to our clients. Additionally, a recording of this webinar will be available to all attendees and those who request it. Feel free to submit your questions anytime during the session, and we'll make sure they're addressed during the Q&A. Now, let me turn it over to our expert, Joe Rinella of Rinella Legacy Group, to get us started. Joe?
Thanks, Becky. Appreciate it. So let's talk about retirement accounts and the strategies therein. So first of all, I want to say, I appreciate you guys taking your time to watch this video and webinar, and we hope that we can bring some value to you tonight. So I'm just going to dive right in. First, a little bit about us, my company, and who we are. I'm from the Akron, Ohio area originally, while my wife, Lenora, is from the Atlanta area. We both come from long, distinguished careers in corporate America and have transitioned into owning our own financial services agency with the backing and support of our broker-dealer. I'm an Army veteran. We have 4 grown children, 2 grandsons, and 2 dogs. We currently reside in Cuyahoga Falls, but our office is in Stowe, Ohio. So we have obtained the necessary financial licenses to support our clients currently in 12 different states and working on adding some more. We are blessed to continue growing and expanding our reach to help more individuals, family, and businesses. But enough about us and on to the reasons you're here, navigating retirement accounts while transitioning in your career. So,
Thank you, Joe, and thank you for your service as well.
appreciate that. So let's talk about options for your retirement account. So, if you have an old 401 account or other retirement account with a previous employer, or if you're in the middle of a job transition, you have an important decision to make on what to do with that money. So the important considerations listed should be factored into your decision-making process. So what do? You need to think about your tax implications of whatever choices you make, the costs of making those choices, that's what fees and expenses, your ability to access your funds and control over your own investments. So this can often be a confusing area for people. And as a licensed financial advisor and investment advisor representative, I'm happy to help you guys untangle the mystery tonight. We'll have a Q&A session later in the presentation in case you need any clarification on any of the topics discussed or any other questions you may have. But Becky, feel free to stop me if you have questions as we move through.
Okay, thanks, Joe.
Yep. Okay, so there are 4 options for your retirement plan savings that currently with your 401k. You can either keep the savings in your employer's plan if that plan permits. Not all plans allow you to keep your savings in their plan when you leave, and some have account minimums to allow you to keep your funds there. The next option is transfer or roll over the savings to maybe a new employer's plan. If you've obtained additional employment, you can move it over to their plan if that plan allows you to do that. There are some restrictions on accepting rollovers, and so you would need to talk to your HR department at that facility. So there are pros and cons of rolling over your savings to an individual retirement account, IRA for short. And we're going to talk a little bit more about those in just a minute, but that's one of the options you have. And the final option is to take a cash distribution from the plan, but that is also subject applicable taxes and penalties depending on your age. In order to take it out, you 59.5 to avoid penalties and taxes. And it depends on the type of account it's in currently. Okay, so let's talk about why perhaps you should consider rolling a 401k into an individual retirement account or IRA. So Choosing a rollover to an IRA can potentially bring you many benefits, including reduced costs, consolidation of your retirement assets into one place, a wider range of investment options, and some tax advantages. So for most people, rolling over a 401k or even a 403b, for those in the public or nonprofit sector, to an IRA, that's usually the best choice. And that's because a rollover to an IRA offers more control over your portfolio and more personalized investment choices. It's easier to get up-to-date information about changes to your plan, and it's easier to access and navigate those. Now, there are also some cons, and I do want to point those out to you as well when deciding to roll over to an IRA from a 401k. Most notably, your 401k allows you to take a loan out where IRAs generally do not allow that. So while IRAs generally give more withdrawal flexibility than a 401k account, they don't offer a loan provision. So you can't take out that loan, whereas with a 401k, you can usually take up to $50,000 or half of your vested value, whichever is less.
That's nice to know.
So there's also limited creditor protection. So if you're in a 401k, the Employment Retirement Income Securities Act, also known as ERISA of 1974, provides certain creditor protections for funds held in an employer-sponsored retirement account, including a 401k. So that protection is not extended to the IRA savings, with the exception of bankruptcy. You still get that protection in bankruptcy, but creditors, if you're in an IRA versus a 401k, can go after your personal assets in that manner. So the other access problem is that there's no penalty-free access under age 55, whereas a 401k does allow you to take penalty-free distributions to avoid early distribution tax and penalties of 10%. With a 401k, you can access it sooner without that penalty due to the rule of 55, which what that means is you can access those funds without those penalties for specific things such as purchase of a home or those kinds of things, or to avoid losing your home. So each plan is different. So I say consult your current plan holder if you're in one of those types of situations. But IRAs do not have that feature. And according to Yahoo Finance, the Dave Ramsey and other advisors out there, the experts, Ramsey advises picking IRAs with the same tax structure as your current 401k. So if you have a traditional 401k, the easiest move is to choose a traditional IRA, because they're both funded with pre-tax contributions that you don't pay taxes on until you start taking distributions in retirement. All right, so let's talk about the different types of IRAs. So there's a traditional IRA, which I just alluded to, and there's also the Roth IRA. So for those under 50 years old, the contribution limit is $7,000 for 2024. The government sets that each year, but that's what it is for 2024. Now, if you're above age 50, you're allowed to do a catch-up contribution of an additional $1,000, so a total of $8,000 for 2024. So that equates to about $583.33 a month that you can put in maximum for the 12 months of the year. And if you're over 50, that's $666.66 per month. So if you were funding it monthly, that's what it would look like for 2024, or you can put in a lump sum. Now, when you're doing a rollover, those maximums don't apply. You can go ahead and roll over your full balance of your account. All right, let's see. So also tax implications, like I mentioned before, you can't take it out without penalty if you're under 59 and a half. The government says that's meant for retirement, so they want you to keep that money in there until then. So with a traditional IRA, it goes in pre-tax. So the money, when you go to withdraw, it's just tax deferred. So when you withdraw it in retirement, you're going to be paying taxes on that. And I'm not a tax professional, so please consult your tax professional before making a decision. But whereas a Roth IRA, you don't have that. As long as your money's in your account for 5 years, you can take it out without those costs.
We do have a question in our chat, if I can
Sure, go right ahead.
step in there. So after the layoff, what is the advantage, or is there one, of keeping the money in the employer's plan?
So the advantage is that you do not end up paying whatever fee it costs to move it. Most IRA accounts, whatever, IRA is just a vehicle. Within it, you're going to have investments, and whatever the cost is to purchase the shares in those investments, initially you'll take that hit. So that would be an advantage of it, but there's a lot of disadvantages as well, such as you have no control over
Right,
those funds
right.
on what it's invested in, and those kind of things is very limited. Good
Okay,
question.
okay.
So let's talk about some financial education, if you will. So financial independence number. So what is it and how is it calculated? So a financial independence number, or a FIN for short, is the amount of money that you need to accumulate in your investment accounts so that someday you can live off of that money for the rest of your lives and never have to go back to work. So Chris Hogan is credited with saying that retirement isn't an age, it's a financial number, and it's very true. So, but how do you know how much that amount is for you, and how much do you need to save in order to reach the number by the time you want to retire, right? So it's calculated using a number of criteria, such as your current age, what age you want to retire, how much income you think you'll need on a monthly or annual basis, and then we factor in inflation and those kinds of things. So we can definitely help each individual calculate exactly what that looks like for them, and how to reach your goals by creating a plan in a consultation meeting. So once we identify what those goals are, and we'll create a plan to reach them, and then we can review that with you and implement the plan to get you on track to achieve your goals.
Yep.
Any questions there?
Yep.
Excellent. So next, let's talk about the rule of 72. So what this does, it shows the effect of compound interest over time at 3 different rates of return, right? So the rule of 72 shows that the higher rate of your return, the faster your money will grow in your savings. So if you had getting a 3% return on your money, you take that 3% and divide that into 72. So that means your money will double every 24 years. Whereas if you're getting a 6%, it's every 12 years. And if you're getting a 12% return, which is quite doable, you can double your money every 6 years. So um, that's really great to understand, because you can start planning based on that, and that does hold true. And we'll look at an example of what that might look like. So this is just an example, throwing out some numbers. So if you start with a one-time contribution of $10,000, it'll double 6 times more at a 12% than it does at a 3% over a longer period of time, over 48 years. So as you can see, the more time you have to double your investment, the larger it can really grow. So how many doubling periods do you have in your lifetime, and where can you put your money where there's a potential for it to grow
Right.
at that higher rate? That's the biggest concern.
Right.
So over the past 30 years, the S&P 500, which is a stock market index that is considered representative over the whole market, and it's made of the top 500 company stocks. So that's yielded a total return of 9.96, almost 10% over the last 30 years. So that's a pretty safe bet if you're investing in stocks that follow the S&P 500 index. Now, of course, that return does not reflect the past or future for any specific investments. This is a disclaimer, right? And investors can't invest directly in an index like the S&P 500, but we can see how investing in the stock market compares with other types of investments. And when we sit down with clients, we look for, we look for a lot of different factors based on the individual investor, their criteria, to help them get the highest rate of return while protecting their principal, spreading risk by diversifying it across different sectors and those kinds of things.
Hey, here's a question again in the chat, and this
Yep.
might be too large to talk about, but are there guidelines for the decades, like in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s and your 50s? You have guidelines for all of those, right?
Sure. Yeah. So I'll just give it a high level summary, and we can talk more individually one-on-one with the person or people that want to know that information. I'm happy to say what that looks like specifically for you. But typically, the younger you are, the more aggressive you can be. As you get closer to retirement, then we switch strategies and move your investments into something a little more conservative to protect the principal a
Right.
little more. So you have time to, when you're younger, to sustain the ups and downs of the market. That's
Mm,
natural market risk. Um, and because of the volatility, when it goes down, you actually have an opportunity to buy more shares, so your money goes further. So we always tell people to be very disciplined during those periods and not to panic, because the S&P 500 over a long period of time is returning solid returns around 10% or higher over a long period of time. So if you're patient, it will rebound. But as you get close to retirement, then you have less time, obviously, to make up any losses. So that's why we go more conservative at that point.
right. And I think that word patient is the key there.
Correct. It's patience and discipline. So the patience to, wait it out and be in it for the long game for your retirement, so that you have the money you need to live and pay your bills and eat and travel and do the things you want to do. And
Right.
then also the discipline to stick to whatever savings plan that you and your financial advisor work out, to put, a certain amount of money away every so often to reach your goals.
Okay. Great.
Great. Yeah, so let's talk about some other frequently asked questions that we have. These are pretty much the most common questions we receive, when discussing potential rollovers with clients. Who's eligible? So anybody that has a distributable event, such as a termination of employment, you change jobs, what have you, then you can roll over your 401k. You cannot be actively employed by a company to still be on their payroll to do a rollover. That's one of the federal guidelines, right? So there are different types of rollovers. There are two types specifically. Which one is needed for you will depend on your current custodial process, but we help our clients go through that process. And even if you're not with us, if you're with a different financial advisor, they can definitely help you with that. So a direct rollover is the first type, where funds are transferred directly from your old 401k plan to either a new 401k plan at a new employer or an individual retirement account. And if you use that route, no taxes are due at that time of the rollover. So the other option is indirect rollover, where the funds are distributed directly to you and then you deposit them into the plan. You have 60 days from the time you take that distribution to get it into your new
Mm,
retirement vehicle without, so you don't have to pay taxes and
oh,
potential
good.
penalties.
Good to know.
So how do I know which type of IRA is right for you or me? It depends on how your existing account is structured. So when we speak with clients, we look at their statement, their most recent statement from their current plan. We see what the structure is set up. Is it pre-tax, post-tax, whether it's a traditional versus a Roth, and that will tell you whether it should go from a traditional 401k or a Roth 401k into a traditional or Roth IRA. All right. And how much does it cost to roll over to an IRA? So that's really going to depend on your situation individually. And there's usually an upfront cost to fund the investments chosen that go inside the IRA. Now we can provide that individualized investment recommendation and a cost analysis in a one-on-one appointment based on your goals and investor profile. So it's typically based on the volume or value of your account. Then there's different investing levels, and so the upfront sales charge by those companies like Fidelity, Vanguard, Invesco, Franklin Templeton, all the big providers charge what's called an upfront sales charge or load for that work, and so it's going to vary, but it's going to be individualized. And then annually there's also account maintenance fees. They're pretty low, but I do like to bring those up, but again, it's very individualized, so we'd have to discuss
Right.
that one-on-one.
Can we take this moment then talking about the one-on-ones, and if you can give us your contact information?
Sure, happy to. We'll get to that in just a minute. It's actually on a
Okay,
different slide.
great.
Are there any other questions currently?
No, not at this time.
Okay, great. So uh, let's talk a little bit about making some informed decisions. Um, so we want you guys to make informed decisions to help you achieve your financial goals. So we offer no cost, no obligation consultations that not only provides some education to you, but also the opportunity to take advantage of any or all of our products and services. Depending on your location or preference, we can either meet in person in our office or via Zoom or another location of your choosing. So we don't want you guys to feel like you're alone in making this decision. There are people out there that can help you, and we're happy to help. So don't navigate it alone. Let us help secure your financial future. So it is very personalized service that we offer, and there's never a cookie cutter type of approach. It's definitely based on each individual, and we are very flexible with scheduling the time.
Okay. So just to clarify, you will do virtual appointments. Is that correct?
Correct. We do Zoom. We do WebEx. We have multiple options from a virtual appointment. We also have a local office in our community that we can meet with people, or we could meet at a coffee house if someone wants to go to a
Fantastic.
neutral site or
Yeah.
wherever. We'll even come to your house if that's what you want. We'll do a house call,
nice.
like old school doctors, right?
Nice. Yeah. Do we have to have dinner? We don't have to have dinner or anything
We
for
don't
you.
have to.
Oh,
No.
okay.
But if someone offers, I'm not going to be rude and turn it
If we're
down.
cooking. Sure.
Okay. All right. So here's our contact information. If you want to use your cell phone, you can capture it with the QR code, or you can just take a picture or write down the phone number and reach out to us, and we're happy to schedule an appointment. Alternatively, you can go to our website, which is www.rinellalegacy.com, and that's RINELLA Legacy LEGACY.com. And there's a schedule button right there on the homepage where you can schedule your individual consultation.
Fantastic.
Okay. There's some additional resources as well that we've included in our slide deck for people, and any participant that would like this information, we're happy to send a PDF version of the slides out so that you can access them. There's a lot of value information in some of these items here, particularly the how money works, which is bolded on the list, as there's videos and ebooks on the financial concepts that we talked about, plus a whole lot more that we didn't even get into. We're not taught this stuff in school. We weren't educated on finance unless you're a finance major. So most people just don't know what they don't know. So here's some great resources from both the federal government and from our broker dealer, Primerica Financial Services, which is a publicly traded company on the New York Stock Exchange.
There is one final question.
Okay.
Is it ever too late to start putting money in?
Yes, it is too late if you're going to retire and you have no money. We can't roll the clock back, right? But starting now, even if you're close to retirement, is better than not starting at all. But obviously, the more time you have for it to grow, the more you'll have in retirement. But we have multiple different account strategies for people, even if they're starting late. That we can maybe be a little more aggressive at that we normally would for someone older in order to make up some ground.
Sure. Okay.
So here's also in our slide deck a little bit about our broker dealer. All financial services firms and licensed financial professionals have to have one to put their license with for supervision, compliance, training, and support. So we are at Rinella Legacy Group. We're independent contractors, 1099 of our broker dealer, not direct employees. So there's my disclaimer. In the slide deck, there's more information about them if you want to look them up. You're also able to check out myself on the federal government's website. It's called FINRA. The SEC outsources to FINRA. It's another agency to oversee our licenses. So there's a link in here so you can check my licenses as well.
Okay, great.
And one more time, there's our contact information. There's my email, my direct cell, and office numbers in case anyone would like to reach out.
Fantastic.
That's all I have for you tonight.
Well, thank you very much for doing this with us tonight, Joe, and to everyone who joined us. Thank you. I do want to give you HRKyle information. So if you are looking for any human resource information, resumes, cover letters, obtain a job, hrkyle.com. Also 330-554-5264. And just like with Joe and Leonora, you will actually talk to us when you call us. So hopefully you'll reach out to both of us, one of us, and get some assistance for you. Thank you, Joe.
You bet. Thank you, Becky. Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate you guys.
See you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.